Hey everybody, my name is Me78, aka Brand. This is episode 60 of the Anime Dojo. I'm alongside Chris and Deon this evening. Gentlemen, how you doing?
What's going on? I'm good.
Happy Juneteenth.
Yes, that is coming up. That'll be tomorrow, right after Father's Day. So that's usually another big holiday in June. We're gonna go through a couple things tonight. We have talking about Lord of the Rings anime that's coming out. We're gonna talk about more Suicide Squad stuff. I'm a little bit worried with Suicide Squad because I think they showed off all these trailers, and none of these trailers have really hit the way the Harley Quinn one hit. We'll get into it. Then we'll go through the charts for this week 10 for both the charts, the Reddit chart, and then the Anime Corner chart, and then the episodes. I'm going to start off with this first. I'm going to do it really quickly because I'm just going to get through it because I keep talking about it. MHA. This last episode was okay. Not bad, not super great, but kind of mid. I like where they're going with MHA. I appreciate the fact you're doing more of the storytelling we're getting. You did the split fight. Everybody's in different places. Deku's with Gravity Girl and a couple other people. I just think the story works, but it's kind of getting a little creepy and convoluted, and not creepy, kind of like weird. It works for one character, it doesn't work for the other we're getting. The character it works for is Takumi, who can take people's blood and use their blood to gain their power. She wanted to be Deku's boyfriend, and that was just kind of odd. I don't really think it made much sense, but hey, she's crazy. That's the point of her. But ultimately, the other side of this, the other character we got was Endeavor's other son, which is the one that does all the blue flames and stuff, kind of getting his little tragic little backstory.
Right.
Yes, but I also think too, this builds those villains out, which is cool. But then the other thing they did in this episode, which I thought was kind of weird, we've already seen part of the fight. They go back in the first part of this episode and go, "We're going to show you how they planned out to do this fight with the other hero villains, and everything," which was interesting. I just don't think it was necessary because we've already saw the fight start. I'm not saying the show is, like I said, I'm not an MHA fan. I'm wearing the shirt right now. Legitimately, one of the shirts I have is MHA with all the characters on, with some of the major characters on it. I'm just kind of feeling like this is supposed to be like your climax to this everything we've seen throughout season 6, and yet it's a slow burn with not really much meat on the bone. Chris, I'm gonna ask you, am I off base right now because it feels like a lot of people are really excited about MHA and like to see this end game going, but a lot of people also are like, it's okay.
Well, if I'm being honest, I mean, I am a fan of MHA, but and I do see the things that they're doing, and I do like it. However, it's just the pacing of how they're doing it feels a little off. Now, and I say that because when you look at the scenes there, I understand that you're trying to lay the story to rest for each of these main villains that we have come to know, and it's like we're trying to tie up the villains and their backstories, and and when it comes to the girl, her backstory is that she has a crush on Deku, which is mainly her biggest superpower against him. But however, the way that her interpretation of love is with blood, which is, yeah, that's probably the weirdness, creepiness factor that I think that you're talking about.
Yeah. And the thing is too, I think the other problem is if you try to get everybody a legitimate give them good care and motivation why they should be built up. I'm cool with that, but it also feels like it needs a hook for that to happen. Deon, I'm asking you the same question that I asked Chris. What do you think about this last episode, and have you been keeping up with MHA? And if so, do you feel like me and Chris, do you think it's too slow, or do you think it's kind of where it should be, the build up they're doing, but they kind of need to pick up the pace now?
Man, honestly, I'm kind of upset that I caught up.
Explain.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but I've been behind on a lot of good anime, right?
Mhm.
If they're coming back from out of the country and having to deal with a few personal things, I haven't been able to catch up on a lot of anime. Oops. This one I caught up on, and I feel like I wasted time. Like I could have just waited because there's so much more anime that's progressing so much faster that I could have just watched. This is like, what are we doing here? I mean, we got to go through 3 episodes to get through one story again. Like, what is this, Dragon Ball Z? Um, you know,
Sorry, I had to laugh there. I feel bad laughing, but you're probably not wrong.
no,
Oof.
I mean, what? I only feel bad because normally I watch MHA in dub, right? I like the voice actors, like I like it in dub. Um, but this season I'm like, no, I want to keep up with it. Like it's supposed to be a big, impactful season. Let's go ahead and keep up. I don't want to be left behind. And then this happens. It's like, I mean, I hate to say the word boring because it feels wrong to use it for my hero, but the last episode was kind of boring.
I won't say boring. I'll say this, and I'll give you the comparison I think it is apt to. Think about this. A lot of people thought Demon Slayer would be boring right now because the arc they're in is the slowest arc in the series and it's the smallest arc in the series. But if you look back at what Demon Slayer is doing right now, this is probably one of the better. I'm not gonna say best seasons of all Demon Slayer, but one of the better seasons of Demon Slayer they've had because what you're doing is giving all the characters we haven't get to talk to actual time on the show, but also building up to this big fight we know we're getting in the Infinite Castle arc.
Well, I'll take it a step further.
Okay,
It's the fact that for Demon Slayer, because they had such a short arc, that gave the animators time and it gave them time in free range. Like because they're not on any kind of time restraints or story restraints. Like, come on, like I am still talking about the whole episode or the whole 15 minutes that they gave a 1 page of the manga.
At the same point, they also did a whole episode. That whole episode where there's 1 page of the manga, they added a full-on paper plane, just fun sequence, random sequence we wouldn't normally see. The last episode we just watched, not this past, that's not this episode coming up, but the prior episode, they added in the love hashira for a random cooking thing with ballet. It's just like, okay, it works because the character, but also it gives the characters more than just training for a fight.
Yeah, and it kind of builds some interest too.
Yes, it does. I think the thing with MHA, I think me and Chris talked about this, and I don't know if you agree with this, Deon. MHA should have started out when the spring season started, because that would have helped this problem. Partially because now, if that was the case, we would be in episode 10, 11 at this point. We would be halfway through the season. The other problem is they're going for 21 episodes. Is that right, Chris?
Yes.
That's still kind of crazy to me because you're going to have to build up a lot of stuff to get to the end of the season. And this is supposed to be the last season, in giant quotation marks I'm doing for podcast listeners. I'm slightly worried that once this season's over and we get the movie that they're supposed to come out later down the year, people are not going to care. But I'm also kind of worried if this is the slow middle we're getting right now. Me and Chris already had this issue, and it's one show we finished watching as of last night. And Deon, you might can never guess the show we're talking about. It is Remonster.
Uh-oh. Oh my goodness.
That's a whole nother can of worms I'm not going to get into.
Yeah. But why are we watching Remonster?
Like Remonster had a slow middle, which was kind of repetitive,
slow and kind of boring.
And just it was like, okay, and then this back half picked up, and it just picked everything back up. And it might be teasing the first season too. But that's, like I said, another conversation for another day. But I don't think you need I get why you need it. I get why you do fast beginning, slow middle. I get that. But if you have a super slow middle or something, it just feels out of place for everything else. And ultimately, I'm gonna say this right now: if I had to give this AMHA a rating for somebody who's been following it throughout this season, and like I said, I'm like Chris. I respect MHA. I appreciate it. I'm like Deon. I like to watch it in dub because it's one of the best dubbed probably anime out there. I would have to give this episode like a 6. It is not. The only saving grace is Takumi because she's so weird and out there. She plays off everybody so well that makes it more fun. Outside of that, the rest of the learning about how they got to this point with All Might and all that kind of stuff was interesting, but we've already seen the battle. If you would have gave us that prior to the battle happening, that would have been more interesting. And then some of the back half stuff, like Deku's going back to the battlefield now, but at this point, Shigaraki's about to take over, about to just do his thing. I don't know. I'm worried. I'm slightly worried. I'm gonna ask this first of Deon, since he said he catched up. Deon, what would you give MHA, the last episode that just came out, for a rating?
Be honest, completely honest. No, don't hold back. Yeah, don't hold back.
Oh,
He took a deep breath there. That's not good. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign.
if we're not holding back, I still want to be nice though, because it's MHA. Like, I know they're going to get to the point. Like, I know it's going to ramp up at some point and actually be good. But the problem is a 3.4.
Oh, okay. Chris,
And
Uh,
I say that reluctantly.
I know you do. And that's why. See, that's the thing. I gave it a 6 because I'm like, I at least respect the characters, but the story is just not great. I understand. I'm like, okay, the
Yeah.
story's not great, but the characters are good, so I give it a little more leeway. Chris, what would you give that rating for MHA?
I'm giving it a 5 because I really don't care either way. That's how I feel about the episode. Like, I give it a 5 because it's MHA. Like, I know you're gonna get better. But right now, this was just
Yes.
this was a disappointment in the worst way.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Exactly.
I think it's weird. Think about this, gentlemen, and people are gonna have to. I'm the Jog People's member. I feel bad to do this. Think about the fact that Kaiju number 8 was supposed to be last season. Think about the fact that it wasn't going to come out last season amongst a lot of other hard hitters last season, and it probably wouldn't have been the top. Think about the fact now it came out this season, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's not going to do well against all these hard hitters coming out," and yet it has held its own between MHA and Demon Slayer, Slime, and Jobless. Like, what does that tell you?
Let's not forget the fact that these hard hitters aren't really going that hard.
No, they aren't, and that's the thing that's kind of sad. You think about that. This was supposed to be one of the toughest spring seasons to watch because everything was going to come out swinging, and this is probably the one of a few times where I'm like, wow, actually, Kaiju did a smart thing by putting their show in spring because now they probably get the most eyeballs on it. They would probably never had, but at the same time, they're leading. They're in the top 10 of the charts almost every week on merit, and it's just like, how?
Because they definitely would have lost to Solo Leveling.
Yes, absolutely,
Oh, yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
But see, a lot of
They have no
yeah.
chance.
Go ahead, Deon. Like, I also think too.
I mean, Kaiju's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not. We'll get in that
But it
because
doesn't deserve to be. All right, I'm turning my camera off for this one. It's not that bad as I make it seem when I'm critiquing it, but it definitely would not have survived last season.
Oh no, it definitely wouldn't have survived last season, but it survived. It's surviving now because everything else around it hasn't been as strong. The only exception to that is Slime, and Slime probably been strong because Slime knew what it was doing. And Jobless. There are probably two that can keep that high level of storytelling intensity. Everything else kind of fall off the cliff. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what y'all think in the comments about MHA.
Wrong way to use magic.
That same thing. That would have been that. There's a lot of stuff from last season that it would have had a hard time competing with. But let me know what y'all think about in the comments. If you're an MHA fan, please let me know if we're kind of at the same point. You're with us, or you kind of like other people who just like the show and just, it's just a good show. It's gonna get better. You like the end game stuff. I think the end game stuff is just not interesting because you've seen it so many times. Like when Chris talked about last week, we've seen the end game of like the Marvel end game. We've seen other end. It's not really intriguing when you've seen it a lot as a person. Ultimately,
this is the snap.
You could have done something different and had a better version of that end game. Ultimately, but let's get into this. I'm gonna lump these three together because they're kind of similar because they're all coming up pretty soon to each other. So we have the new trailer for Suicide Squad, which is King Shark. We have the Lord of the Rings anime that's coming out. And also, I didn't put this one in our group chat. Chris sent it to me, but I knew about it. The Scooby-Doo anime that's coming out pretty soon as well. Scooby-Doo Goes to Japan. I'm going to start off. I'm going to say this. These three things are kind of like high-end properties in the sense that these three shows have a lot of history behind them. Lord of the Rings is a movie series that most people know and enjoy. You have the Suicide Squad stuff because you have Harley Quinn, all that kind of stuff. But then you have Scooby-Doo, who's been around, who has had so many shows and movies and things. It's just kind of like it's one of like the linchpins of most people's childhood.
They have a chance to be better than they show Velma, which shouldn't be hard.
It shouldn't be hard. Shouldn't be terrible.
Shouldn't be, but I mean,
yeah. So
we had been let down before.
Yes, we have.
Velma shouldn't have been hard. So,
well, yeah, that too. I'm gonna start off with Deon for this. So, Deon, out of the three, which one are you more worried about that's gonna do well, but also has more potential? The ceiling for it is a lot higher. So, in terms of, we know, like, you have a low expectation for it, but you know if it does well, that ceiling could go. That ceiling could be super high for the show.
Ouch! I hate to say it, but the one that I'm more excited for. Let's start there.
Okay.
It's Lord of the Rings, right?
Okay.
I mean, clearly it's based in it's going to be based in the style of anime and or not necessarily style of anime, but the genre that I enjoy, which is like action adventure, stuff like that. But that story is also so iconic, you should not sway from it too much, right? Like you should be able to hone in on that story and make it fit, kind of like how we were talking about the Terminator. If they do theirs, like you can't really go wrong if you stick with the program. The scary thing about that is how many people actually do that, right? When they recreate something, they they, they usually try to make it unique and individual, and then it comes out horrible. The one that I believe is actually going to do the best is Scooby Doo. It's gonna have the numbers. It's going to get the views. It's going to get the streams. It's going to get the publicity. But it's probably going to be the worst one out of all of them. Like, it's probably going to be done the worst.
Explain.
One reason for me, I believe this, is because it's already an animated series. It's already like a cartoon show. How do you make that so much different that it's now an anime? And I feel like that's what they did with Velma, where they were trying to make it so different that they couldn't call it Scooby-Doo, and then they ruined it. So I feel like they're going to do that with this too. They're gonna be like, oh well, let's get so out of the box so we can call it an anime and let's make it unique and fun and trash. And I'm so over freaking Suicide Squad, man. My feed is just nothing but trailers and like, are you excited for Harley Quinn again and again and again and again? Like, man, oh,
So
I hope it does bad. It's probably gonna do pretty decently. Numbers wise.
if
I
it,
hope it does bad.
oh wow. Chris, same questions to you. Are you on the same contract as Deon for that, or are you on a different track for that?
Reluctantly, I'm on the same track, bro, because I don't expect much from Suicide Squad or Scooby Doo. Now, I do think that Scooby Doo will do better than Suicide Squad, only because I was reading about it. They're not gonna have Fred, Velma, and Daphne.
Correct. It's a whole new cast.
And I remember growing up watching movies where there was just Shaggy and Scooby, and then they introduced Scrappy. I mean, like honestly, Scooby Doo is really, really hard to mess up. But watch them find a way to do it.
I mean, they've messed it up 3 times now.
I mean, like at this point, even the live action Scooby Doo's are better.
Oh yeah, yeah, and they were good at that time, you know.
Exactly. Now, Lord of the Rings, I can't say I'm hyped for it, but man,
You already know.
they should not mess it up. There is too much lore in Lord of the Rings to mess up.
Mhm.
Like you can go to any point in time of that lore and have a great story as long as you stick with it. Because as soon as you start adding elements that's not Lord of the Rings, I'm a trash it. I'm gonna trash the whole thing. And that's how I feel about it.
Look what they're doing with Ring of Power.
Yeah.
Have you guys followed that at all?
Ring of Power is actually pretty good.
That is actually a decent show. I know, because even a friend of mine was talking about, and it's something I know. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but House of Dragons is actually really well done.
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, but that's the same concept.
And so they could do it
any point in time, just in the world.
Yeah, you can do it. This is gonna be kind of weird. I'm gonna flip it on your head, on y'all. I actually can see Suicide Squad doing better than Scooby Doo, and I can actually see Lord of the Rings just flopping bad.
You have some explaining to do, sir.
Here's the reason why. Y'all both brought it up. Y'all both brought it up for Lord of the Rings, and it's actually something you brought up down right after Chris talked. They have so much lore and stuff to play with. I have a weird hunch they are not going to play off that lore very well. That lore is going to be very loose to the point where it is there, but it's so loose that if you're a new fan of Lord of the Rings or somebody who's never seen the movies, you won't understand what's going on. At the same point, I think they want to try to make a new story with that show. Somewhat of a new story. Not a full new story, something new. And the only reason I say I think Suicide Squad is going to do better than Scooby Doo is brand recognition. The DC brand is a lot more popular right now than the Scooby Doo brand, in the sense that most people who know the Scooby Doo brand are people our age or a little bit older. The younger crowd do not know much about Scooby Doo because they haven't really made a new show since Filma. So we haven't seen we really haven't seen an original Scooby Doo, like Scooby Doo and a pup named Scooby Doo. Where are you, Scooby Doo? We haven't that kind of stuff be back in the mainstream in a long time. this is going to be the first time Scooby Doo's back in that mainstream fix with a new show for this generation.
But that's also why I say they have the chance to be better than Velma. They have the chance.
They do have the chance. But
I'm gonna argue this point though, B.
Okay, go ahead.
You said that only the old heads know Scooby Doo. That can be said as true for Harley Quinn as well.
Yes.
Because yes, we did get this new stigma of Harley Quinn, but Suicide Squad was a flop.
Mm-hmm.
And the Harley Quinn is based off an adult audience.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
So with Scooby Doo, as a parent, all my kids love Scooby Doo,
which is fair. And that's the thing. If you have little kids who know who their parents grew up with Scooby Doo, I think this will work. If you don't have parents who grew up with Scooby Doo enough or know much about it, it's not going to work very well.
But on the nerdy side of it, Scooby Doo is also one of the most cosplayed characters. One of their characters. Anyway, whether it's Shaggy or Scooby or Fred.
Velma or Daphne. Fred.
Daphne is probably the most. I mean, my daughter went as Daphne for Halloween this year or last year. You know,
so I if I'm wrong, I'll eat that whole pie. But I think the thing
I'll serve it to you. No,
I think the thing is, I think with the Harley Quinn, though, there's been so much marketing push for Harley Quinn to the point where we've seen Peacemaker, we've seen Boomerang, we've seen King Shark, we've seen Deadshot, we've seen all the cast. But here's the big thing: the two main characters they've been focusing on is Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Yeah, but they're one of the two most popular villains in all of DC.
Correct.
I mean, Harley Quinn is technically villain turned hero.
Correct. I think that's
recently too.
That's very recently.
Joker, yes, but Harley Quinn was trash as a marketed villain until
the thing I'm getting at. The thing I'm getting at that though, I think more people will be inclined because we also kind of can tell Suicide Squad wasn't going to be that bloody based on the trailers we've seen. Not super bloody, not super violent. More of that like isekai trying to get back to their homeworld kind of thing, but there's a little bit of fights here and there. I think more people are going to be inclined to dive in onto Suicide Squad and try out for the first time because you know of the movies, you know of the Birds of Prey, you know of everything else. With Scooby Doo, I think the thing that's gonna really give people cause for pause is how bad Velma was.
That's true.
With Velma being so bad, a lot of people are like, no. Even though they probably know the old Scooby Doos and how well they were, and what they've done, other shows and everything with Scooby Doo. I think if they saw Velma and they're like, they tried this and it didn't work out, I'm not gonna look at the next Scooby Doo. I'll pass. But I will try that. I will try Suicide Squad because I like Peacemaker. The Peacemaker show is really good. Like I said, I could be very wrong on this, but ultimately, I think it's gonna be the scary thing of Suicide will do well, even though I think the show's not gonna be the best. I think it'll do well enough because people will just go ahead and watch it and just see what it's about.
You know what I just thought about?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Go right ahead.
I just thought about the fact that Lord of the Rings may blow all of these out of the water.
They can. It can.
This is my reason why. Lord of the Rings is one of the only franchises besides Harry Potter to cross niches and storm the tops of everybody's list. Correct. Whether you're a comic book fan, whether you're a video game fan, Dungeons and Dragons fan, normie in quotation marks for podcast listeners who don't like any of that, and all you do is watch like stand-up comedy all day. Lord of the Rings is one of those franchises that everybody not only has seen, maybe not all have seen them, but they at least know of them. whether you're a book reader, whether like it crosses all of these paths, and I think it's the only one that's been announced this season that does that besides Terminator.
Correct. It has. And you bring up a good point. You're right. Lord of the Rings is one of the few that can cross all those paths. I think the other, you mentioned it, Harry Potter. I think Harry Potter is the other one that crosses most of those paths, even though Harry Potter is less liked by a lot of people. People read the books, don't like all the movies. People have seen all the movies, but don't read the books. There's that, but there's still crossover because people know of Harry Potter, so it's still there. I don't know what's gonna happen with these shows. I'm worried though because we're getting a lot of big name properties. They've already done Rick and Morty. They're doing, they're doing so many big name properties now. Tomb Raider, Terminator. We're gonna eventually see Indiana Jones down the road, if that's gonna be a thing. I think they need to slow down a little bit. Slow down with the big name properties. There's a few I'm okay with. Scooby-Doo I'm okay with. Suicide Squad I'm okay with because they've been cartoons prior. Just don't try to make everything a big name property or cartoon, but that's just me. That is just me.
Next is Justice League.
Yeah, same. But let's get into this last topic before we get into the charts. And it's going to be really quick because there's actually not much about it. So, this is the other thing we're going to be talking about. Kaiju Nop.6 got an official video game. And we saw the trailer for it. It kind of looks like a Attack on Titan kind of like beat 'em up thing where you go around and beat up these kaiju and then take on different bosses and things as the main characters. Okay, I'm gonna start off with Chris for this. Chris, what do you think about all this? Because this is kind of weird, I think, for being in the way it is.
Come back to me, bro. I need to gather my thoughts because that's
Okay.
a loaded question.
Okay. Deon, what do you think about Kaiju Nop.6 getting a video game adaptation after we're seeing Slime and a couple other things get video game adaptations?
Oh yeah,
Right.
if this comes out as a console game, if this is going to be a mobile game, even better. I mean, and I'm celebrating, I'm clapping because all trash deserves a good day, right? Like let's give them something to be good at. And I can imagine this being a decent stylized game. It's just gonna be Rampage from like the Super Nintendo days. Like let's just have fun with it. Don't try to be too, I don't know,
too cute.
Yeah, just throw the monsters out and let us punch them. Like let's do it.
So you're partially right about one thing. They are doing a mobile version, and the other version is going to be on Steam. So not console.
Okay,
PC.
Yeah.
So you're right. I'm okay with it if it's a mobile and Steam thing. I do think too. This is the other thing we're gonna have problem with. Every new show has got a game adaptation. Slime did theirs for Switch. We got the Soul Loving one, which I haven't played. I've seen people play it.
Trash.
It looks okay. We're getting this. What's next? I'm not gonna put this in the universe, but I will say it. Are we getting a jobless like video game next? I don't want to see that, but I think that could be on the.
It'd be trash.
That'd be on the cards if that was the case. Like,
Okay, let me say this.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
The fact that it's not coming out on console gives me hope.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, now, and then from what I saw, we haven't seen one of the villains that we've seen from this season.
No.
So in retrospect, it could do well. If it does well, it could actually give hype to season 2. Because then people who are going to play the game will then be like, I can't wait to see him do this move, or I can't wait to see him do this.
I mean, he hasn't done anything, so we
exactly. So
have
with
a
that
lot
being
to hope
said,
for.
Exactly. That's why it gives me hope. That's why.
I
See,
will. I will say too. Before I sorry to cut you off, Deon. I will say too.
no. Go ahead.
We did get the announcement for season 2 is in production. So this was kind of a simultaneous announcement. I think the game announcement came out first after the last week's episode, and then the production announcement came out a couple days later for season 2. So if Chris could be on the money when they say, "Oh, this could just help people get into season 2," maybe. But go ahead, Deon.
I was gonna say, I'm kind of opposite of you, Chris, where you say mobile gives you hope. Mobile scares me, and I only say that because I did play the solo leveling game and the slime game, and it was horrible.
Oh,
I mean,
I didn't. I didn't try either, and
as
I was.
as far as like creativity or whatever, it's the graphics and stuff. It's all cool, but it's all just one big walkthrough gotcha, and it's like it's Subway Surfers basically, like the
Oh,
simplicity of them. It's Subway Surfers. So if we get another one of those, it's gonna be trash. Like I hate it. I want to
here's
actually have to think about the game that I'm playing. Like I don't want to have to be able to play on autopilot. Yeah.
here's the thing with gotcha games, and I've never been a fan of gotcha games. I agree with you there, Deon. But there are a few that are decent in the sense of like Genshin, Honkai Star Rail are
If
decent
they
gotcha
play
games.
like Genshin, that's amazing. Genshin is
That's it.
probably one of the best mobile games we've ever had.
Correct.
Elder Scrolls has a mobile game that's pretty good.
Correct.
Even your smaller games like battle royales and stuff like that, like Fortnite and
COD
all those
Mobile.
small,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, God, mobile is absolutely before its time, but those games are outliers to the mobile game world.
Yeah.
You know, most mobile game worlds are scrollers, and
Yeah. Yeah.
solo leveling the game had a first of all, it was way too complex to be a mobile game. Like I started to hold my phone like a joystick. It was way too complex to be a mobile game, but nothing made sense. So it was like you're trying to put too much into this scroller to make it seem nice. So don't do that with Kaiju. Make it simplistic, but interesting, engaging, and fun, and we'll be all right. I know that's a lot to ask for, especially with Kaiju out of all
But
things. But
but if they want me to spend my money on it, it's gonna have to be good. So
no, it's supposed to be free, just like solo leveling was free.
Yeah. Soloing was free. So was I think Kaiju's gonna end up being free. I think they're just gonna be the thing where you just buy upgrades and things through
Yeah,
the game.
it's a gotcha.
But which is okay. But the thing is, if the gameplay loop's not great, it doesn't feel like it's worth playing. That's
I'm
why
gonna be honest.
Genshin.
I played solo leveling in 3 hours and beat everything up to the point of the anime. I was like,
Oh, jeez.
and yeah, it was one of those games that you just don't play all the time. You just gotta pull out and play whenever. It's deleted off my phone as of today. Uh, let's be real. That's
see,
so
that makes
bad.
me even more unimpressed. Like, man,
Yeah, but I'm more critical on games than I am on anime. So we just take
Well,
that.
yeah, and then same here. Like same for me. I'm more critical on games like that because I'm like I'm not a mobile fan. I don't play mobile games naturally myself, so I'm like, if like I've heard good things about Genshin, I've heard good things about Honkai Star Rail. Like those are probably two. I'm like, okay, I probably. I think Nikkei is one that I've heard good things about. Nikkei is really fun, which is like I think a shooter basically.
Yeah.
but I mean, things. How can I put this? Like, I'm agreeing with what y'all saying, but just the fact that it just puts a bad taste in my mouth altogether.
Oh yeah.
The fact
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It shouldn't.
No. Oh
And
yeah.
I get
No.
every game can't be Genshin, right? Everything can't be as innovative as Genshin.
Correct.
But can we start? Can we try? Like I feel like when you break these walls down with certain video games, like COD Mobile, Genshin, um, what's the one that everyone not World Raid.
Ray
Um,
television. Yeah.
yeah, when you break these walls down of games in this genre, like the gotcha type games, follow suit. The doors are already broken down. Walk through them. You know,
But
I don't know.
I get where Chris is coming from because a lot of these games end up being, and this is a weird term to use, cash grabs, shovelware, things that don't have much value outside of making sure you can get fans who watch the show or read the manga to play them. And really, most of the time, the people who actually care about the show aren't going to play these games because they don't have any specific value to the person that's actually caring about the thing it's based on.
But here's the thing. So if you're marketing this towards a specific age group, like we're over here looking like, not worth spending money on, blase, move it on out the way. Blah. But to a younger generation who might be into that, I don't even see why you would market a game for them if the parents don't want to spend any money on it.
See, I feel like they're using this as a placeholder. I don't feel like they're using it to be like, hey, let's make money from the game. I think they're using it more as, hey, our season is over until we get ready for the next release. Let's keep this fresh in everybody's mind. Let's go ahead and make sure everybody's staying on, keeping Kaiju on the brain. We're gonna release this. That's why I feel like they released it at the same time as season two's announcement. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna play this until I can get my fix of the next season.
But okay,
That could be a good marketing strategy.
But if that was the case, I wouldn't have gone the gaming route. If you're gonna do that for me, do what you did like what were you? Oh, do what you did like with Solo Leveling. Put the manhwas on Spotify. There's other ways to keep people engaged, but also keep people involved with media outside of a gaming thing, outside of a thing that's not gonna be for everybody. Because ultimately, you want to keep people engaged, fine. Have them get the books very easily. Have them find the source material. Do other things that can make it more
But you still
more
have
engaging.
to do something for those who are anti-readers.
That is very true.
Like there's such a big community of people who first of all, don't do their own research on animes, which is ridiculous. But they also don't read the manhwas or the mangas, and all their only source of entertainment comes from the anime itself. But everybody does it. One Piece has done it. They've released gotchas all over the place, card games and stuff like that. Like everybody's done it. Even Inuyasha has a game. Like everybody's done it. I wait for the day when somebody does it well.
Yeah.
They're just all the same. They're all cookie cutters. And I wait for the day that somebody does it.
I will say
outside
this.
of Naruto and Dragon Ball Z.
Yes, there's the two exceptions, and they're the two biggest exceptions because they're probably the best at it. The only one I'll give you the exception for is one that doesn't even count to this because it was a game first, not the anime came. I think the anime came after Devil May Cry, because Devil May Cry series, the games are amazing, and the anime is actually really decent. And they're making the anime now, so
Well, what about Nier? What about Nier Automata?
Like you said, that's a game first.
Nier's a game first, and then the show came out.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It will also fit that exception.
Yeah, it does, and it's weird because I think that's the other thing about this.
I mean, and you got a lot of those Persona and all of that. Like you got a lot of
Persona
those.
series. Yeah, the Persona series, the Final Fantasy series. Like it's weird to me because I don't want to see new anime come out and you're gonna automatically just make a game or something off it. That's not gonna always work. I think you need to build up the show first, because even My Hero has a game, and the My Hero game isn't great. It's a fighting game, and it's kind of poor, kind of weird. It works because it's arena fighter, but it doesn't have that same kind of like thing behind what the show's about. But at least saved itself some trouble. It helped itself out because it was still decent. The Demon Slayer one is pretty decent, but even Demon Slayer one's kind of Yeah, console. Okay, not great. But we'll see where this goes. I'm gonna be okay with the fact if this is just to be a free thing for a bit and then they build it out later. If they do that, fine. I just hope you don't have to pay
Look
money.
them on Jump Force style. We're all right.
I don't want to have to pay money up front for it. That's the thing I
Yeah.
will say. Like if you're paying $15, $20 up front for it, no, not worth it. It's the last thing I would do. But like I said, let me know.
I'm not paying 99 cents for it.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like
It's gotta be trash.
but let me know what y'all think in the comments because this is actually kind of interesting. Would there be any property you really want to see become a game from a new anime? Let me know in the comments. Let me think. Give me ones that you actually like. I want to hear about it because I think if this is gonna be a trend, this is gonna be a very terrible trend for the anime community. And it's not why I want to get any worse. But you never know. Let's get into the charts. These charts are from week 10, June 7th through the 14th. These charts actually did pretty well. I have to give them credit for this. Konosuba is at 1. Date Alive 5 is at 2. Go Loser Ranger is at 3. Went up 1 spot to 3. Jobless dropped a spot to 4. Black Butler Public School Arc went up 4 spots to 5. Demon Slayer came back into the chart at 6. Till Sin Dungeon went up 3 spots. Windbreaker dropped 3 spots. Chilling in Another World with by Level 2 Cheap Hours dropped 2 spots. And Apothecary's Dilemma went up 1 spot to 10. Chris, what do you think about this top 10 chart? Was there any surprises in this chart?
Okay. Seeing Jobless at 4 is understandable but surprising. That's the first thing. Konosuba and Data Live, yeah, they're probably where they should be. I'm not caught up on Konosuba, nor am I on Data Live, but I know that these two are indeed top tier. Go Loser Ranger being at 3 is nice. Okay. Now the rest of them that fail, I can kind of understand because they're getting to the end of their seasons. And I mean, Delicious and Dungeons is technically done. So for them to be on the chart at their ending season, I'm satisfied.
So was that their last episode, technically?
Yep.
Okay. Because they did a double core, right? That's why?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought. Deon, what do you think about this top 10 chart? Then I'll go through 11 through 20.
Oh man, Konosuba holding it down. Man, that's my show, man. I honestly, I'm surprised it's number 1, but that just means that Data Live, which I haven't caught up on this season, is not doing what it's supposed to do. Because the last few episodes of Konosuba were kind of, they're good for Konosuba, but like they're good as anime, but they're kind of mid for Konosuba. Let me put it like that.
So I remember both of y'all telling me this, and I think Chris told me this. I think you've mentioned it too, Deon. With Konosuba and Date Alive 5, they're more on the spicy end of the spectrum a little bit. And
Yes.
I mean, Chris, you told me Date Alive 5 is really on that spicy end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is kind of funny because Konosuba is supposed to be a comedic.
It's more comedic than it is spicy.
Then it's
but
spicy.
It has like an adult jokingness to it.
Correct. It does.
Yes.
Which is also kind of funny because it's like you have 2 of the most adult things on this list at the top. It's just kind of odd. I'm interested why Go Loser Rangers at 3. Because up to this point, Go Loser Ranger hasn't really done much in the chart. If you look at the last couple charts, it's been in like the top, maybe bottom half of the top 10 for the most part.
I'm not caught up on that one either. I think it was a good episode. Like I think someone said it was a nice fight scene or something.
Yeah, there's a nice fight scene. There's a nice fight scene in the episode. The storytelling is interesting. It's gonna get kind of weird because with that one, we don't know if we're getting a season 2 for that. And up to this point, we're kind of leaning that way, but not really. I haven't seen nothing of Black Butler, but I also know Black Butler Public School Arc's fun. Demon Slayer,
a push right now.
Yeah,
it's getting heavier. It's getting mid-season vibes right now.
Demon Slayer, where it's at, I agree with it. It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I think this season's strong. I would Windbreaker where it is makes sense. They just came off the giant arc. I would have to do, and I would have to say this with all respect. I would flip.
Yeah,
I would flip Jobless and Go Loser Ranger. Just because I think the Jobless emotional moment we got in Jobless actually makes that story arc really interesting. With Go, we
you
have
guys in your tear-jerking moments with Jobless.
But okay, this is not tearjerker.
Goodness.
This is more of a.
Nah, it was a straight up tearjerker.
Okay,
Both moments.
Fair enough. But like, this is one of the few times where I'm like, okay, I get why it's not going to be high on most people's list because it's not that type of like. If you don't like the tearjerker stuff, you're not going to understand it. But I think I appreciate what they tried. I appreciate what they did. I will say I'm happy for Chilling Another World. Chilling Another World with the level 2 cheat power. I think that's in a good spot. And then Apothecary's Dilemma of Elf Bride going up to 10. It's not bad. So here's the rest of the list. At 11, My Hero. Time I got reincarnated slime at 12. I was reincarnated 7 times. Print is at 13. Kaiju number 8 is at 14, which is kind of odd, but I think I kind of know why. Moonlight Fantasies at 15. Spice and Wolves at 16. I use an appraisal skill to raise in this world at 17. Sound Euphonium 3 is at 18. Grandpa and Grandpa is at 19. And Misfit of a Demon King Academy is at 20. And then I'll just kind of roll down here. Newgate's at 25. Jellyfish Swimming in the Night is at 24. God's Game We Play is at 28. That should be higher. That definitely should be higher, in my opinion. Your regular high school is at 30. Train to the End of the World is at 32. That should definitely that hopefully should be higher too.
No, because this season was a half episode, so yeah.
Well, okay. Yes,
no, that was last week. That was last week.
No, the 11.5 episodes this week. So yes, I think
that's
it
what
would
this chart is over.
Yeah. So I agree with that. But I think in general the show's better than 32 ultimately. I'll actually have to get Remonster at 38. I agree with that. I don't think that's bad. Even though I think the Remonster ending for the season is good, I think the show overall is not that strong. Blast of the Gods at 40.
I think people just hate Remonster to hate Remonster.
I don't think it's terrible. I mean, Chris thought it was a decent show. It's just not. I don't think it wasn't like it's not blowing the door. It's not blowing the doors off of a re-series.
At least it wasn't Vampire Dormitories.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Right? You see, that's what I'm saying.
That's kind of weird.
There's so much worse out here.
Yeah. I think Fable should be higher
because
that's also 46.
Our word stuff. Remonster gets a bad name.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think the only thing I would also say on this list for me is where My Hero sits. I think you flip My Hero Slime. Give My Hero 10, give Slime 11. Or give Slime 11, give Slime 10, give My Hero 11. Just flip those around. I think Slime's in a better place than My Hero. But that's also like the My Hero fandom, probably stronger there. So Chris, go to the other chart for me.
So on this other chart, this is almost the complete opposite of that chart. So for 1, they have Jobless. 2, Delicious in Dungeon. 3, Kaiju number 8. 4, Konosuba. 5, Demon Slayer. 6, Spice and Wolf. 7, Jellyfish. 8, My Hero. 9, Slime. And 10, Girls Bands Cry. See, this list
has anybody caught up with Jellyfish or Girls Band Cry?
I want to watch them later. I'm probably gonna watch them later. I wanted to watch both of them, but I just there's too much in everything else I've been watching, but those are on my list. I heard Jellyfish is
same here.
fun. I heard Jellyfish is fun because it's just
I'm
like an
only
interesting.
asking.
Go ahead.
I'm only asking because those are the only two that are like always on this list, but are never on the anime corner list.
No, and I think that's because people are actually watching Jellyfish and Girls Band. On here, people aren't going to be watching that as much. Because even if that's the case, with Kaiju being 3 on this list and Kaiju being 14 on the anime corner list, that tells you that's a big jump in. Yeah.
I feel like most of the things that come on the anime corner ones are more mainstream than they are
Correct.
from the other
Yeah,
stuff.
Well, it's funny.
but
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Like these are the only two that's not like ever been on the anime corner list. So I'm like, they're holding their own. Then if that's the case, they're just not the mainstream ones.
And you say
So-
mainstream, Chris. Thing is, though, I'll give you not assume it's mainstream. I'll give you Data Life 5. I'll give you Jobless as well, and Black Butler, and even Demon Slayer. I can't give you Go Loser Ranger as mainstream.
When I say
Because-
mainstream, I mean like it's easy for people to go and watch it.
Yeah, like it's right there on Hulu. One of the
Okay.
most
Fair enough.
old
Fair enough.
streaming services.
But Jellyfish and Girl Band he plays both on.
High Dive,
Yeah,
which
that,
is another
that's
another
right.
service.
That's right.
that's why I asked you guys because I don't watch High Dive. So
And see, that's the thing. I forgot that was on. Those are both on High Dive because there's nothing else on High Dive outside those two
Exactly.
that I really want to see.
right,
So-
and that's why I'm like trying to give them their props because I haven't seen anything else pop up on this list that's not like
But that's
we
also
got
kind of tell
Crunchyroll, Hulu, and Netflix. Like,
Netflix. Yeah. But the other thing with High Dive finally fixed some of their like UI things and how it looks, and it's still getting not as much recognition from.
yeah, because I'm still not
other
paying for
fans.
that.
Yeah, no. I mean, most people are.
Like,
Most people,
yeah, if we're
most
gonna
people
pay
aren't.
for something, pay for Crunchyroll or Hulu, and actually get the main publicized titles versus High Dive, who has a sketchy feel still.
But I think that next season High Dive is gonna have more hitters than Crunchyroll from what I've seen on the lineup thus far.
That could be a thing. That could definitely be a thing. But also, I also could think this is down the road. We got the combination of Funimation and Crunchyroll. Funimation had a lot of stuff that were kind of more adult. I'm gonna put it to you this way. I think eventually Crunchyroll's gonna have to bite the bullet and just go, fine. We will put more adult stuff on there. You just have to find it. So I could see one day Girls Family Play, Jellyfish in the Night will all hit Crunchyroll randomly just because they're gonna find a way to get them.
That's the next step, though. Now that they have the profiles,
And then I also believe that that's gonna happen because we'll look at freaking like Crunchyroll already has adult titles on here. So
Yes,
as soon as I see like Chain Soldier come on Crunchyroll, it's over.
Chain Soldier, gushing over magical girls in that case.
I'm sorry.
And then I'll take it a step further. They're already buying shows from Netflix.
Is there? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once you've gotten things like High School DxD on your platform, you might as well go ahead and like just wave the white flag.
But see,
It's
that's
like that's the staple.
but that's the other problem for them.
And they have Testament of Sister New Devil.
New Devil, which is the other
yeah.
one. But the thing that's
Yeah.
the problem. They don't want to be known for all that kind of stuff, and they have to hide it under a bunch of stuff. I think they're trying to do it where they can do a couple of things here and there, and then hide it in places where you're not going to find it unless you just know what you're looking for. The thing is, the profile system, like you mentioned, Deon, and they'll eventually do it. I think they're going to do it. They did. I think Peacock does it, and I think a couple other things do it. You're gonna have a kid's profile. That's how the kind of way to get around that.
age restricted profiles, kind of like how
Correct.
Disney does it, where Disney will say what content can you watch. It's not even just based off your age. You go in as the main person and you say, yeah, this profile can only watch Y rated stuff. This profile can only watch PG and everything
Correct.
under that stuff. I feel like that's the best way to do it.
And that's going to be the next
And
step.
then Disney takes it a step further by putting a password on anything that you have mature. So if you have a profile that you've allowed mature things, you have to put a password on it.
Well, so what I like about Disney with that regard is they let you choose that feature.
Yes.
It's not
So
forced, right? It's not forced on there. You don't
yeah,
have to
it's
do
not forced how Amazon does it. Amazon's is forced. Like if I have an adult blockage
account.
on my account, everything I have to do is like I
Password
can't even
protect.
click on the show and read information without entering my password. Where on Disney,
Okay.
my account, once you are able to log on to my account, like my profile, everything is everything. But my child's account, she can't log on to any of my stuff, but all of her stuff is PG and under.
Okay.
Like,
That's the thing, and that's the thing I'm just trying to get up before we get into the episodes tonight. Get up episode 59 of Slime, by the way. We'll get into that in a second. I think that's the thing that Crunchyroll should just do. Just do an age restricted
At this point, yes.
profiles, because you can make up to 6 right now with the highest tier of Crunchyroll, which is like $15, which will go to like $16 in about a month. In the end of this month, the middle tier you can do 4. So, or the middle tier you can do 4 people watching at once. You can, I think you can make as many profiles as you want, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know. I think Crunchyroll's trying to be that still wholesome for families and stuff, but they can't. They don't want to have to dig into their, huh?
it's a wrap for that. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's absolutely a wrap for that. But
once you bought Funimation out, you're kind of biting that bullet.
But you remember Disney took forever. They took forever to start doing stuff that were more adult because they've been so kid friendly for so long and so family friendly. They didn't want that.
Now they're blending the apps like
Yes,
somebody asked for that.
correct, absolutely. I don't know. I think this will be I have a bold prediction that by the end of this year, I think Crunchyroll is gonna do some big changes with their site, with their app, with the website, all that kind of stuff. I think those big changes will make it for the better, but also make it where it's more easier to navigate things you're actually looking for, which is even more crazy.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to after that big buyout. They're gonna have to, slowly put things in because you don't want to do anything rash, like hike up your prices and make everybody pay something even though they've already paid for it. Oh wait, sounds familiar. Like they've already done that.
Yes, they have, which is the sad part. They've already made everybody's price go up by I think $1. So each person's gone up by $1, and even then, it's just kind of like, wait, you've done that, and you bought the company out that you wanted. And now you have to try to figure out how you can merge all this stuff together and make people want. Yeah, yep. I wouldn't want to be them right now. That's kind of the point.
Like, you hike up the prices before you figure everything out, and now look at you.
Correct. But let me know what y'all think in the comments about these charts. What y'all think of how this end of the season is going to go. We have 2 episodes left for most things. We technically have 1 left for like Training in the World because a couple things already ended on Monday, but there's a couple things still in the background too. So we'll see how the chart ends up. I will say this right now: it's going to either be Konosuba or Data Life 5. Data Life 5 going to be on top of that chart. That's pretty much guaranteed unless something just absolutely just blows up massively. But I don't think it's going to do that between now and with 2 weeks left in the spring season, but it could. But Get Up episode 59. This episode was a very good resolution for things, and I like where they're headed. It actually kind of gives us a little bit of understanding where they want to head. I will say this: it's probably not the action heavy episode people probably wanted after this last episode, but it is a very story heavy episode. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of things they mentioned pretty quickly off the bat. So that is something to look forward to. In a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Episode 59, recall or reconciliation and agreements. And I don't, for some reason, I still don't like you, and both of y'all are kind of weird, and yet y'all trying to figure out a way to make this make it not a problem. Yeah, you blew your cover. That was kind of not a great idea.
I like how both of them are trying to play the tough guys at the same time.
Correct. Nobody want to blink. Who gonna blink first?
All right.
For you.
Actually, Chris, we didn't get it. This show didn't get an opening change. They didn't change the opening for this show.
But you might not see a new opening until next season. Well, to the
Oh, that's
second
right.
quarter.
That's probably right. That's right. Usually, but they usually do like a special. I know, like at the end of the season, they do like a different opening or a longer opening, but we haven't had a longer opening for this one either.
But
I mean,
I
we
don't
still
think
haven't
this
even
is.
met everybody in this opening yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny. I usually be able to tell what people be cosplaying this time around, but there's nothing really that big that would be the super big cosplay thing this time around.
Oh, I'm seeing those nights.
The Knights would be the closest thing from this show.
Yeah,
That would be probably one. Would be the one thing I could see if you did anything.
Nah, I want to see a tall girl do the purple, the girl in a
Oh,
purple.
the purple suit.
Yes.
That would also be
Cheryl,
something.
the cook.
Yeah, that could be also be done.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the merger from the east. Yep. Oh, the girl with the mask.
Yep.
By the way, they have that conversation here. Why does rumor not explain? Why don't rumor just explain to her what happened to her?
He tried once before and they fought.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because she didn't want to hear it.
But it's funny. It's a good thing now to explain it, and it would probably she'd probably get around it.
What's that saying? What's understood doesn't have to be explained.
True. That's true. That's true. And think about this. This is probably one of the few times where he's sitting in a meeting and he's not in his slime form.
Because he has a guest.
Even with guests, yeah, that's true. Strong guess at that. But even with guests in the room,
that part.
Even with guests in the room, he would have been in his slime form.
Yeah, but they're still. He don't know if they're enemies yet or not.
That's true. If Claymore was so weak, why didn't somebody just get rid of him? That's the other thing I kind of like. What?
He played his cards right.
What? I was the only thing they don't explain very well. And I think it's kind of one thing I think that will get explained later. The 7-day clerics. Who actually controlled the clerics?
She did. Because remember, that was the reason why she had him killed.
Okay, that's what I assumed. But then the essence of one of the clerics went into that guy's body we saw at the beginning. So I'm just like,
so that was something that she didn't know about, or probably doesn't know about.
Doesn't know about. Okay, that's the part I was kind of confused by because it's like I figured the clerics were under her control, but the guy when he killed that one and he just wouldn't think dude's body. Like
he was over the plot. He was over the scheme, but she's over. Like she's the boss.
I will say I love the fact that Shizone hasn't said anything the whole time they've sat there. I forget about this all, but I love how the fact that if you think about how this drawn, she's just drawn like that, just standing like that for like a couple panels. It's kind of like okay,
but I mean, she is his secretary, so
yeah, she's. I will punch that little one day. She really hates Valdora. I love how. I love how that was in her mind, and Valdora was like, "You would never get me up, right?" Like,
It's so funny because he probably could really do some damage.
yeah. But she's strong too. That's the other problem. She's strong,
Oh,
and
yeah.
she's done stuff to him.
If they fought, it would probably be calamity.
Like if they really just went at it, yeah.
Yeah, they really just unleashed.
I'm wondering, can he go back since he's in a human form now? Can he go back to his dragon form at any point?
I don't see
Yeah,
why he couldn't.
That was one that I was like,
yeah,
so he has to unleash all his power, but at any time when it's too much. But it's like,
yeah. This is just a disguise.
yeah.
So he,
So that's muffins. What is the other thing?
Scones and fried potatoes.
Okay, I thought the other thing was potatoes, but I couldn't tell because it didn't look like potatoes. It looked like potatoes, but it didn't look like potatoes because they wouldn't have matched up.
I just want to know what they taste like because they look pretty good.
They do look pretty good because I could tell the sauce in the front looked like a mustard or something, and I was like, oh, okay.
so they eating French fries and hard biscuits. Is that what?
Scones aren't super hard, but yeah, like harder biscuits.
They're Popeyes biscuits.
but scones have flavor because you can put like blueberries in scones, you can put other things in scones to make
Yeah,
them
no.
sweet. But they're also drinking tea too, so this doesn't really make any much sense either. think about it.
So is this like a nod to them being like Great Britain type people?
Well, they're both human. Both Rimuru and the girl Hinta are
I
both
mean, like the
human.
class of the city.
Oh yeah,
Like we know that
Britain.
Rimuru is like representing like a Japanese culture.
Yeah, so the Britain kind of you could probably do Britain code or culture or something like that for the like town.
That Knights of Templar, like either that Spanish Knights of Templar type feel or
Mm-hmm.
the British Royal Soldiers type deal. Knights of the
You have a
Church.
crush on.
This is interesting. So they won't recognize him as a country, but they will give him 100 years of peace. It's interesting thinking about that, and something's gonna go bad. You kind of know something's not gonna work.
Politics.
No, something's not gonna work out with that.
It's politics, man. Nothing ever works out.
And this is how demi-humans always end up at the bottom of the tier list for isekais and animes like that.
How she
Where
restore that sword though? That's still weird to me. She didn't get.
What were you saying, Deon?
like you have things like this where he's like, yeah, the demi-humans won't attack anybody and we'll be nice, and then humans feel superior and now demi-humans are slaves, and like it's just the basic trope of all
All
anime with
animes,
this premise. Yeah,
all fantasy animes. Yeah.
exactly. Like demons and demi-humans and beastkin, they're always like trying to be super nice and then they get booted on.
Oh, he learned that from her. Like, how do you learn
Yep.
that? I don't think
And
she'd be able to. He That's kind of funny. I don't. Wait, she don't like white rice. What's wrong with?
no. She was saying that she was surprised that he had white rice.
Oh, but
Because they
what was
don't
she
have it
ever?
in that world. That's from their world.
That's from there. But what about the ramen she saw from the ramen shop? So she would have known he could have found ways to make it. See, I wouldn't want. That's funny. Ultimately, if somebody said that you could have poison notification, I wouldn't really want it. That wouldn't be great. And that's where it kind of goes too far. But yeah,
Yep.
that's where poison notification would really help you here. Would not help you.
Yep.
Now he's drunk. He's spilling his whole plan.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. But they already knew about the crystal, right? They knew about the
Nope.
crystal. Oh, they did
They
not
knew
know about it.
of a crystal,
Nobody
but
knows about the betrayal crystal yet.
Oh, okay. Here's the thing. This is actually not as bad. 'Cause they're telling people she trusts, so she's not actually doing anything super wrong. It's out of the ordinary, but it's not super wrong.
it's kind of messed up that you got a skill that can take away.
Yeah.
Yes, that's literally be your moderator.
It's like I wish you would have did that before I gave away all our state
Yeah.
secrets.
Yeah. Turn that off. Right. Turn that off earlier. But see, it's funny. He did that. They still have respect for him. Ultimately, he's still good.
But them the Knights joining his faction, and now that pretty much puts them at the front lines because they're technically the weakest of everybody under his command.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't touch our food. I love that scene because you just hear the noise, you don't see it. He's gonna beat me. Oh, he works alongside the guy. Oh, okay. So he's pulling the strings?
Yep.
But okay, if that's the case, this kind of gets weird because this. So did he also know about the 7 clerics?
He knew about everything because everything was his plan.
He did everything. Yeah.
Oh, he did it. Okay, so basically he's one just controlling everything, and he was hoping things
He's
would
the
fall
one
in his lap.
behind claiming and everything.
He's the big bad guy in this story right now.
Oh, great. So
Or the
everybody else is
biggest bad
pawns.
guy.
So everybody else
He's
is
from the
pawns.
world.
So everybody else is pawns in his situation,
Yeah.
like the
He's
grandfather and the
basically
daughter.
the villain version of Rimuru right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's kind of scary to think.
because he was also isekai into that world.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so he got a demon lord on his side too, huh?
He does. This was actually a really good episode. This tied up a lot of things, but also gave us some new plot points. Chris, I'm gonna let you do this because you've been doing it all season for us. Do it however you
Well,
want.
this is pretty short and sweet, man. Because so diving right into this, they're basically in a state meeting. This is a privately held meeting where they're discussing the future layouts of how to reconcile the war that they just had.
Mm-hmm.
But so, and in this war, a lot of things were reconciled. You know, a lot of apologies were said. Hinata apologizing to Rimuru telling her the truth about Shion, actually listening and understanding what happened with Shion. And then so after then they discuss politics. Politics leads into a declaration of that her kingdom acknowledging Rimuru's kingdom as an actual country, him in charge, blah blah blah. And actually establishing diplomatic relations, which means, hey, we're going to open up trade routes, citizenships, trade between our goods, our people, stuff like things of that nature. Then finally, we get to the dinner, and the dinner is basically just Rimuru, them having a good time. Rimuru tells them about state secrets. Like Rimuru, that really does have plans. It was really more of a flashback into some of the things that Rimuru has accomplished politically, like
Mm-hmm.
making, having forming diplomatic relations with all the other neighboring countries, and then he gets drunk, and then yeah, he tells them everything. Like now backing myself up, and as we get to the villains of our show, the villains. So in the beginning, our villains are trying. The guy who seems to come out of an essence of one of the 7-day clergy. He's pretty much trying to get the guy from the the Eastern people, the Eastern market. He's trying to persuade them to stay on his side because he finally realizes what he's up against. But the guy tells him like, "Look, I like you. I like what you're doing. Yeah, I stand with you. But for my people, we stand out of this. And matter of fact, I'll send somebody else here for you." Which is the declaration of, "Hey, good luck."
Yeah, pretty much.
But so later on, here at the end of the story, we see the Eastern merchant again, and he's talking to Yonko, who we know is the main villain of our story, the mastermind behind everything, trying to pull everybody's strings. and he pretty much is using him as a pawn because he wants to use him in another plan to basically come around and pull another string. Now the Kagali, I think her name is. She is a homunculus who we saw a few seasons ago, who seems to be on par with other demon lords. But she understands his plan because apparently they have a long-term relationship of some kind. So,
Yes. Yes.
which kind of leads us into our next season.
Thank you for doing that, by the way, Chris. Deon, what did you think about this episode? Because this episode was a lot of talking. Chris did a very good job kind of converting that down to like the three main things. It feels like, yes, this builds into season 2, next season, but also it kind of gives you our major players now who's going to really be the threats to Rimuru and everybody else.
The time I got reincarnated as a table.
That's kind of, I know why you're going there, I think.
I read that as one of the comments, and it just kind of hit like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Don't get me wrong, this dialogue was needed or necessary, I should say. I'm not gonna say needed because there's plenty of ways you could have done it, but very necessary. So it wasn't like out of the norm for slime. We've done this multiple times. One of the less drawn on dialogue points, like we haven't talked about the same topics 60,000 times, and so it was pretty cool to be an informational episode. We just got to see where we go from here now.
I will say it is a very good information.
The table is the MVP.
Like I love the fact that it's a good informational episode. I also love the fact too, in the little meeting they were having at the beginning, they mentioned the guy at the end. They mentioned the Eastern mission. They kind of tie things back to each other a little bit. I'm more inclined to say this. I think this episode really will give you the story of Slime, where they're headed to next. But I also think too, if you're just here for the action will come again. It's gonna take a bit to get back into swing of things because they're gonna start a new season, they're gonna start a new arc, so we're gonna get back in that like fold of like having a little bit of time where they're gonna be peaceful, nothing going on, nothing changes.
Yeah.
Then we'll get back into that fight, that conflict. Ultimately, I think the big thing for this episode, we kind of really know off the bat, is how much Rimuru is really wanting to work alongside the Western Holy Church, and also be recognized as a group of people, and not just be able to still can live freely. So
it goes back to his main point of even creating Tempest in the first place.
Correct. That was his main, and then having Fall move under the other guy, all that kind of stuff.
I will say. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, I do appreciate the way they put this together in comparison to things like Jobless, and I know you guys love Jobless, but this is how you do your sleepy episodes.
But
like, I'm okay with that.
But it's also kind of funny. A lot of people don't like this show like Slime because they do a lot of talking. Their talking is so drawn out, and sometimes we did, like earlier this season, we had 4 or 5 episodes, which was a lot of talking, the same thing over and over again. People get kind of annoyed.
Yeah, don't get me wrong; they do a lot of it, but and like this episode came off of a decently impactful episode.
Correct.
Just don't do it again. Like this is fine. This is great. But now let's get back into actual episode. This is like an OVO episode.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll ask for this, Deon. And why I'm asking Deon this question, get up Kaiju number 8, episode 10. We'll get to that in a second. What would you give Slime episode 59 for a rating?
I'm gonna give it like a 5.6.
Okay.
5.6. And I'll give it 5.6 because I feel like the story could have been, I don't know. I feel like I give it a 5.6. Basically, it could have been done better, but I understand why they did it. You know, like we got the round table and then we're drinking and having fun. It could have been done better. This information, because what I feel like this episode was tying up loose ends before the next arc.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you know, like I understand it's necessary dialogue, but I do feel like it could have been wrapped up in a prettier bow. So yeah, but I would have given it a straight 5, but I gotta give a 0.6 for the comments that I'm reading on Reddit and Crunchyroll.
I think people are
table.
I think people would rather not have the talking at all and not be that. But that was the other thing.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying they love talking, and that because this is a slice of life and a world building anime, the talking is fine. What I'm seeing though is a lot of let's do this in a better way. Like let's have them walking around a little bit more. Let's have them doing something engaging. One comment says the table has more screen time than the MC. That is hilarious because it's true.
That is exactly true. That was one thing people griped with. They didn't want them to be in a different room. Ultimately, we've already known they use this room so much for meetings and stuff, so it wasn't going to change. They do the camera shots to make it less samey. Outside of that, what else you gonna do? Have them walk through the city? I wouldn't want to see that because we've already seen the city a bunch of times in other episodes. Like, so it's not really
a picnic. Go hunting. Go.
Yeah, you could do it. Yeah, there's
show the world. You know, take a tour of certain things. Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't write anime, but this was kind of drawn out. It made the dialogue less interesting.
Chris, what would you give Slime episode 59 for rating?
So I'm gonna give this a 7.4.
Okay.
And the reason I'm giving it a 7.4 is because I like the fact that they're tying up loose ends before going into the show. And for me, they're leaving a hint of suspense for the next season. Like they're still showing you that Rimuru, he's not a war tyrant. He is a person who's literally just trying to improve his own quality of life. So in a sense, he is acting as a demon lord. So for me, this show it was. If I gave last season I think I gave it like a 9 point something, this was a nice drop of score because you slowed down. Now, I will admit the comments are freaking hilarious. Like, and I agree. Like, you could they could have at least made a different table or a different color rug or painted the walls. I mean, come on.
The budget for this season should be like
bare minimum. And that's what I'm getting to. The only reason I can see why you're using this scene multiple times is to save money on productions.
Yeah.
So
I'm in a rough spot because I think you get a 5.6. What do you say, Chris?
7.4.
7.4. I would have to go like a 6.5. I don't think I'm right in the middle of both of y'all. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's terrible. I think yeah, they could go to other places, but if they're saving budget on production, can't really blame them there. Ultimately, it's wrapping up loose ends. We're getting some teasers for things, so everything is fitting the way it's supposed to be. Could they done this somewhere else? Yeah. Could you have done this while they're walking through town? Absolutely. Could you have done it while they're like Deon said, hunting or something? Yeah. Picnic, whatever you want to say. I ultimately believe if you're going to use a table again, just keep changing the camera shots. That's the only thing you're going to have to do for me to really make it okay. Outside of that, I think if you took it out of the building entirely, it would be kind of awkward. You have all these people just walking in a line, and that's just awkward to me.
I just feel like there's too many people in that room. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You have all the
But
holy
all the knights in there. But I mean,
knights.
it was a lot of people in. It was a lot of people in there in the last when he had his other meeting too.
Correct, there was, but it was
But at
all his
least they
people.
all had a point. Like he
But see,
was assigning jobs and stuff. Like,
and that's the thing. The only people that talked in that meeting was Hintata, Lady Loomis, Rimuru. I think Benny Morrow says like one thing in that little talk, and that's it. Everybody else doesn't say a word outside of Valdora, but Valdora doesn't say anything that it's proper to the meeting. It was because Lady Loomis wants to just kill the dude, just want to beat the dude up, and he's scared out of his mind for that. We'll see where it goes. I'm not like overly one way or the other about it. I just think it needs to have something. I think it needs to have something, but that's something that's going to change next season. Fine, cool. We probably won't have a lot of meeting stuff anytime soon anyway, because we're starting a new season. They're going to start new plot points and all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, we know it's going to start off with a meeting. It has to.
Yeah.
We don't know. They don't know their next move yet, so we
they
know
don't.
it's
Yeah,
going to start off with a
that's
meeting.
true. That's true. We don't know their next move.
And we didn't see them leave or anything like that, so it's going to start
Correct.
off with them all in the city.
Correct.
That's why I say I feel like it could have been wrapped a different way.
It could
Like
have. It could have.
it's leaving with. It gives us slime. Like we know that they're gonna be doing this. This is definitely how they set up things. But it's also like this entire season has been like this. Can we get a little bit different? The only thing that was different about that scene was the fact that, like you pointed out, B-Mac, was that Rimuru wasn't in his slime form during the meeting.
During the meeting, which he normally would be in during that type of stuff, but ultimately he doesn't want to be in a slime form with a bunch of other strong people around, but we'll see. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about this episode of Slime. Well, I think we're getting into a new arc, so that new arc's going to really kind of set the tone for things. But let's get into Kaiju number 8, episode 10. This episode, ladies and gentlemen, was, dare I say, interesting. Dare I say amazing. Dare I say something that I think most people won't see a plot twist coming for. And we'll get into it. I know Deon has his grasp with it, but we'll get into something because I think this episode kind of shows you why he doesn't do the things he does. So in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Let's go.
All right. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. Episode 10 of Kaiju number 8, Sceret Revealed. And now we see them fighting the giant kaiju that's still around.
Right. And it's still garbage. No. I'm joking. Decently done recap.
Yes, it was. It was actually pretty. I like that recap. That recap actually builds a lot. There's a very good job kind of keeping where what's happened.
It did good, kind of like
Yeah, putting us
reintroducing you to
back
the
where we
action.
need us to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Still the best intro
Like
of the
a
season.
warm up for the workout.
Still can't believe you had young blood do this intro. My word.
Oh yeah, I really like this intro.
This is kind of funny. Did you think about it? Do I want to see more English like songwriters do intros for anime? Yeah.
Yes.
But it has to be the right anime. That's the other problem. Like I
Absolutely.
don't want to.
Now we all know how horrible MASH was.
I think as long as
But I was gonna say MASH was horrible, but the theme song was good.
that was
Oh yeah, the song
Now-
was amazing.
So I would pay if I had it. I would pay good money to put Eminem on that.
Oh yeah, actually have a rapper do it and just do the full song in English. Yeah, that would make sense.
Boy, I feel like he would just go ham.
Yeah, but with his cancel, they trying to cancel him so much right now. That I feel like
something fierce.
it would do you more harm than good to put him on there. What I like about this LTS is it sets you up for a live action.
Yes,
True.
you could do live action. You can do live action. That thing has ads for days, by the way.
Yeah, it made me want to go back to the gym.
I'm just reminded how sore I am.
Mm.
His speed is saving him now.
Yep. So, Chris, are they saying that they can only go 10 minutes at their max peak?
No, I think that he personally can only go 10 minutes. I don't think every cadet or person can use their suit even yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you master your suit, you can go a certain amount of time, but that time limit could be different based on the person.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's based off of your personal output.
Oh. Yep, nope. By the way, you'll be dead after that if you got thrown through a bunch of buildings.
Boy, what?
With a punch like that? Like, no, you would not be living.
It would just be a splat on the wall.
Medical treatment is advised.
medical treatment needs to be done. Basically what it's telling you to do. No advised.
No, I didn't like this part. Like, I like the part. I don't like the placement.
Where would you place this? Where would you place that?
In the beginning.
So take out
Don't
the
get me
recap.
wrong. I love the ramp up with the recap. But come in
If
after
you
the
would have placed that at the
LTS
beginning,
with this part.
if that was the beginning of the episode, that would have been real neat because then that would have made him look like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I
And
can see it.
then
It would have gave more suspense to the story.
Okay. I
yeah,
can see it.
and then what happens after that, which I'm not gonna say it till it happens, but it almost made that pointless to be right there.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Because he wouldn't be able to stand up right now. Basically, based on this, he wouldn't be able to stand up.
But we all know those suits are magical.
Yeah, the suits are like
They
so
stop
mad.
bullets, even though they've gone inside your body.
I've already said that this show is a very definition of plot armor.
Yeah, it is. Like, oh yeah, he survived going through 20 walls. But the suit saved him. What suit is on his head?
I was just about to say, man, his head would have been popped.
Like if they would have tied that in instead of with these fight scenes, but with the intro, the
Before
part
the
Flash
where it's
recap.
showing you,
Fine.
yeah, if they
Yeah.
tied that in with the recap. Ooh, wee.
Okay. Okay.
and
I can see it.
and that's kind of an old school move because a lot of older animes used to do that.
Yeah.
But isn't the new school? And as you say that isn't the new school move to do it the way they're doing it now, where you flip between
Yep.
Yes,
flashback and current, but it
so
doesn't
in a
work all the time.
way, you shouldn't have to. Some old things didn't need to be changed. I think that's one of Deon's famous sayings.
Yeah.
But it's
Like
funny, it
if
didn't.
he's talking about, yeah, giants, whatever, you can't beat giants, and then you see the kaiju turning giant, like that would be freaking gold, man.
Yeah.
Missed opportunities.
Yes. But can I touch this slice up in the path? And he goes into his 1,000 cut slices. Like that would be gold. But it's like this part. Right. They almost did it, but then you made him. I'll say it when I get there.
He basically gets the second win. He gets the second win, but the second win doesn't make sense because it feels like he should
Well,
have a second win.
he gets the second win, but then this happens. Like
Yeah,
you
there you
gave me this whole plot armor based storyline, and then he still gets beat up. Like, like immediately after. Like you expect him to go hard. Like you either do it before he gets beat up, like when he's still good, or you do it now.
after he gets beat up. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's like we just heard your life story just for you to still get saved. Like
Yeah.
Like we should have been thinking that you was dead.
yeah.
But see, Chris, they've done a bunch of death flags, and we have none of them have came to pass. Technically.
Which makes them feel like unneeded time. You could have put that time
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Wasted energy.
Yeah, I can say this now that we're getting to the end of the season.
This right here, I'm blasting this thing, and then you don't blast, like shoot the gun, and then let's see this.
How is she carrying? Okay, never mind. Oh, that's how she carried that gun of running around. Just shoot a hole through it. That's the point.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities in this show.
However, though, I think for the time they're still doing pretty good.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's not a terrible show. It's just like when she shows up, shoot the shot.
Well, she had to charge. She had to charge it.
But don't say anything until you're ready to shoot the shot. Like, what if you just got flicked off the the
Off the
building
building.
before?
Yeah.
You know, like if he went, well, Kaiju, let me introduce you to my captain, and then bam, he gets hit with the shot, and then you
Shot.
see her. Like that's gold.
But I wonder if they're trying to follow scenes from the manga.
That's probably what the case is. So they're not going to deviate from
Hey.
where the manga sits.
What's the point of making an anime adaptation if you can't make improvements?
Well, sir, then you're going against what you normally say, because those improvements wouldn't probably involve changing the story.
No, that's just a scene clip. There's nothing you can. That's like you read that. There's no images. There's no places for that moment to happen. You're reading it.
Unless it's a specific scene.
Yeah, but that was. I mean, she still let go of the shot. Nothing happened in between time, but the fact that he looked up at her and was like, "Oh," like, just leave out the looking up part and just let him get hit already. Like it still didn't do anything. Story wise, now they still have to go through the battle some more. And now you see him going ham. You make the story pointless. Make the story after he gets grabbed, and then you get to see him go ham. Carve you a path.
And they did all that just to have that scene with her.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's basically the point for this.
This could have been the scene, like all of that could have been right in this little area before she actually took the shot.
Oh yeah.
And it would have
Oh,
made
yeah,
so
yeah.
much more sense.
But this next part also kind of doesn't help this because then you see this happen. Well, this next thing is what happened.
Does everybody have to get their catchphrase off before he gets
Yeah.
shot?
Nobody bothered to look it up at all.
Nope.
Yeah, that like that had to be happening for a little while now.
And I mean, not even the computers or anything, or is it reading anything?
This is the part where it gets kind of convoluted because this next thing is happening. Like, wait, oh, okay. I was about to say, the way they were shooting that angle they showed looks weird because the hand was at the weird angle, like not at a full angle. It's like, oh wait, it's just where they're shooting it.
Got this dude sobbing like a baby again. Like, oh my goodness. How are you tougher as a trash man than you are as a soldier, bro? The best part of the show, the white tiger.
The tiger
Right.
looks- It's funny. The tiger
The
noticed
one
what's
who
going on.
looks up first.
Yeah,
The
the
one who
Mhm.
tiger.
looks up first. It was the damn bro.
And the tiger looks up
Yeah.
like, the
I've been
world?
saying since day one, the tiger is the show for me.
The one character that you expect to act the way you wanted the character to act.
Yeah.
Right. He's the only one that's not flawed in his design.
And
He was
you
even
just
like
found that
holding her
out,
up
by the
when he
way?
was shooting. Like,
Actually, why tell him to cease fire? Wouldn't it be easier to shoot it down? It's gonna explode
No,
anyway.
because it would explode at the moment,
Oh.
and everybody's still standing there.
see, but here's my thing with that too. It's supposed to be a chain reaction bomb. They just shot one. It should have went off.
It should all went off at once, but they're
It should
different
have all
pockets.
went off.
Well, not well. It probably still has to reach critical mass.
Mm, okay.
I want to give the OST for this is kind of funny. I'm like, why'd you give us a great OST for this? The red hair guy's face like, but she already knew that, and she told her.
Sorry for what? Saving their life? Kikaro and Ichikawa, I get you apologizing for it because they've been holding your secret. But too late to say that, bro.
And that's when
And
she
you just
figures it out. That's where she
not only
figures.
that, but they just incriminated themselves too.
Correct.
I mean, not really.
No, really,
They
bro.
don't know that
You
they
were
know,
on
but
the
they know it's Kafka. Everybody knows it at this point.
But that's the thing. So they do incriminate themselves, but at this point, everybody sees that it's Kafka. So
but
it
it's
don't.
like y'all been a part of the defense force and y'all didn't tell us.
Yeah.
Y'all just
We,
guilty.
we
But you're
didn't
not
know
supposed
until
to.
we just seen them transform, but we had a closer relationship with Kafka, and we know once you turn into a kaiju, ain't no coming back. So yeah, just 2 and 2.
Nah,
I'm gonna
I think they.
deny. He got
Nah,
to
for some
prove.
reason, I think that they still gonna have his back.
Oh, they will.
Oh
They
yeah,
absolutely will.
definitely. They're probably
Ichikawa
gonna
will.
plead for him.
Ichikawa will at least.
Oh yeah, he definitely will.
By the way, that should have wiped out that whole little city.
They shouldn't still be standing there. The whole
Well,
building being blown
laying there.
away. And they just
No,
laying on the ground.
but this is the other part of it too. He's using his field power to keep that from happening.
Yeah, like 2 of them. But when they all they're all just laying on the ground. Like what? Somebody should have got blown somewhere.
Somebody gets shit. Well, blown somewhere, but probably also blown to bits. I love the little situations where the guys on the ground got on their knees and kind of backed up. It just kind of backed out the scene. It's kind of guy.
I hate he keep calling himself old. Like he's like 70 or something.
Well, he's 32. 32 is old for most considered to most
Hey
people.
man, hey man, hey man, hey man.
But watch
Based on
yourself.
this show, I didn't mean that in real life. Based on
But
this, they could
the captain has to be the same age as him. Her old body
close,
can't handle it.
close to the
Like
same age.
yo,
Correct.
so they
Correct.
age.
Correct. She should have shot him on sight, but she didn't.
True.
We don't know. Pause for dramatic effect.
I'm gonna make this short and sweet because this was one of the few episodes where I'm not gonna have to do a full deep dive for this. There's 3 things you really want to know. 1, at the beginning, we get the recap. That recap basically shows what happened last week. Kind of get Vice Captain get into the fight, all that kind of stuff. We see Vice Captain get back in this fight and seeing what he has to do to try to stop this thing, but this thing is now giant class, which he cannot handle because he doesn't have the ability to handle with swords. We get a flashback to where his father pretty much tells him, if you look in the Edo period, one of the older periods, the previous period in Japan, so you be the greatest swordsman ever. Right now, based on this, no, because your gun power is really low. He goes to another, when he joins the defense force, the guy he was going to join with says, your gun power is super low. There's no reason for you to be in this defense force. Goes to the vice captain, and she's like, I need you in my platoon. I'm not good with knives, but you are, and I'm really good with guns. You will do very well. If you keep work on the small Hanju, I can get the big ones. Ultimately, after that, the big thing we see in this next little section is the fact that he just runs through his combat power. The vice captain does almost he gets to his limit, overheats, still going, and it feels like when he's still going, he gets a second wind. But the second wind gets stopped because ultimately, what happens? Oh, the giant class Hanju grabs him out of midair and just almost about to break him. As he breaks him, he ultimately Kaufman can feel the kaiju and he knows something's wrong. He's like, do I do it? Do I do it? He finally he's about to transform it and runs to save the vice captain. Ichikawa's like, don't do it, sir. Don't do it. Ultimately, vice captain says, oh, that was a bad move, kaiju. Captain shoots the gun, blasts him. Then they have a little more squabbling. Vice captain gets a third win basically at this point. I don't know how you have a third win when you're almost at your second win, but get the third win, kind of cuts it down some more. Blonde-haired girl tries to help with the blade, with the giant axe. Doesn't really work, but she gets the axe. She finally gets help from the vice captain to get some wounds cut so she can use the axe. It does work. They blow this Hanju up with a couple more shots, fully finish it off with one more good shot from the captain. Then they're all celebrating. They're all getting relaxed. They're kind of like, oh, everything's good. But something feels off. And the something feels off is the thing that we haven't seen yet. So they're like, you need to rest up. And the captain's like, so do you, vice captain, because you've done all this. You almost blew yourself up yourself. And they're like, so you, captain, so let us handle this. And ultimately, the tiger standing next to the captain looks in the sky and goes, kind of growls. And you're like, why is it growling? Oh, there's a giant, massive ball of kaiju about to be over the city. Oh, it's not good because that kaiju is a level of power as much as a nuclear bomb, basically saying it can destroy the whole city. So some of the people start shooting the thing. Vice Captain says, "Don't shoot it. Get everybody out of here." Kafka's finally like, you know what? I have to help them. So he transforms. He runs. He doesn't transform yet. He runs off first, and Vice Captain's like, "Where did Kafka go? And why is he running? How is he running so fast?" And they finally put 2 and 2 together. The lady in the command center goes, "That's a kaiju. Fortitude 9.8. That's kaiju number 8." And everybody's shocked. Ultimately, what we end up seeing at the end of this is that happens. Everybody's like, what? Vice Captain's kind of like dumbfounded, like, I knew something off about that dude, but I was rooting for him all this time. Both Ichikawa and the girls like, sir, you do know if you do this, you can't come back from this, right? He says, Ichikawa or Kafka says, I'm sorry, Ichikawa, I'm sorry to the blonde hair girl, I'm sorry, Vice Captain, I'm sorry, he's really just apologizing, but he only knows he has to do it. So he punches this thing out of midair, punches this guy, and it blows up, taking out a lot of stuff in the training ground, but he just saved the people. The last thing we see from this, Kafka's hand, his legs are weak. He's out of it. He can't do much anything else. And then the captain walks up with a pistol and goes, I'm putting you under arrest. That's where the episode ends. But ultimately, she was ready to pull the trigger if she had to. But she did it. Chris, I'm going to start off with you for this. What do you think about this episode? Because this episode has a little bit of good, but also a little bit of weird as well.
Okay, so I like the episode. They did a lot of good things, and they kind of like they really progressed the story. Like I really feel like this episode was a page turner in going into a new chapter. Like I really do feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there, as we were discussing, there were a lot of things that could have been done better previously in other episodes, and there are other things in this episode. So yes, it could have been better. There were a lot of things that left questions, but at least, like I said, because it was a page turner, I do feel like this anime is headed in the right direction. It has the pacing of the show does feel a little bit sluggish. However, it seems to work for this show right now.
Okay. I'm gonna ask for this now because I might not get back to this. What would you rate Kaiju number 8, episode 10?
I'm gonna give it a 7.8.
Okay. Deon, what do you think about this episode? And what would you give the show for a rating?
It's alright.
Be
man.
critical.
I don't get too bad.
Be critical, but make it short and sweet. I will ask for that.
All right. plot holes, plot armor, plot missing, just dialogue that subpar action scenes, horrible storytelling as far as what goes where, who's doing what with what, a lot of missed opportunities, bad sequencing. What else? We're doing a lot of the same stuff we've been doing throughout the entire season that I had gripe with. A bunch of questions that's not getting answered. You missed opportunities to answer questions. Like now we got him turning into a full kaiju in front of everybody, and we still don't know how he. But I digress. We'll get into whatever. We got new big bads. Don't even know where the old big bad came from. Like it's a lot of a lot of missing opportunities for us to have one episode left,
2
or 2 episodes left.
2 episodes
Like
left.
there's a lot of emptiness for that. So altogether, horrible show. But the graphics are good. The music is good. Like the storyline is not trash. It could just be done better. So I'm gonna give
Fair
it
enough.
a 4.6.
Okay. I will say this. There is a couple things they don't answer, but I think because y'all had they had a little argument at the end of the last show. And I'm going to bring this up because the one thing y'all talked about is you don't see the training. We don't see the him training. But Chris brought up a point from last week. Me and him talked after the fact when we saw this episode. The only reason you don't see Kafka train being a kaiju is if he trained anywhere, he would be pretty much in danger of being killed.
Right. That was the whole point. Then how does he know how to control more of his kaiju parts
So
if he's never trained it?
I think he's also learning from reading and other things. So he's kind of just learning on the fly, which is kind of the point. But also I do agree. You don't see him train. He can't really train, but he's learning on the fly. So he just kind of has to go with the flow. The other thing too, I do agree with the way they did the pacing and the way you do certain things. Like the vice captain's flashback, the fact that vice captain got a third wind off of pretty much nothing.
Straight plot armor.
But ultimately, I can't be too those are things I can't nitpick too much. I will say this: this show isn't. I think this show is gonna in a good spot, like Chris said. Going to season 2, I think it's gonna get better. Next episode is gonna be interesting because we're gonna get a lot of answers because he going on trial. That's a guarantee now. He going on trial. He's gonna be facing up against Bonhurt Girl's dad because he used to be a former head of the defense force. We know certain things are coming. How they gonna manage that, I don't know. But we also know that people are gonna have his back because he just saved a bunch of people too. So both problems are there. Both problems are they're just sitting out there. I would have to give this I would have to give this, if based on what I think this is like an 8. It's good. I think the only two major gripes with it is the recap and the vice captain stuff can be switched. And I think him getting the vice captain getting a third wind is just kind of not great. Everything else works for the most part. I think the only other thing that I think is kind of weird, I don't think it's bad. I think that the tiger getting the thing to see the sky first gives you the indication the animal figured it out before everybody else did. And that gave you the indication that something else bad was going to happen. Ultimately, we don't know where this is going to end up. It is weird. This is on the same trajectory of where Soul Leveling was, because Soul Leveling was kind of that weird, it was good up until a point. Then by episode 10, we kind of oh, okay, 11, 12, we really kicked that into gear and really made it to where, okay, this is one we can keep looking out for. We'll see if that continues.
Say, the only reason why I gave it such a high rating is because of the tiger being a tiger.
Yeah.
And actually having tiger senses. And or it would have gotten a 2 from me. But the tiger is a good.
I think the thing with Kaiju's in that same place as Soul Leveling was, where it's a lot of action, and that's what people
I can't make that comparison.
But a lot of action that people care about. That's the only thing people cared about Soul Leveling for a lot of time. The story was kind of for a lot of people. I think the story is not as strong as Soul Leveling, but the action's a lot stronger, and that's why people are sticking around with it. And that's why it's still at number 3 on the charts, on the Reddit chart. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'm hoping to see where this story ends up, because we're ending on a weird note. We're gonna end on something kind of lighthearted. We know we're not getting another fight. We also know we're not getting any big conflict anymore outside of them trying to figure out what they do with Kafka, which is still conflict, but not as much conflict. Outside of that, was it surprising that people found out he was a kaiju? No. Vice Captain already knew about it, but he couldn't really connect the dots with the girl. With the girl from the lab told him that he was a kaiju, and he didn't believe her. We'll see. But that was episode 60 of the Anime Dojo. We'll be back next week for episode 61. That will be Kaiju number 8, episode 11, and I think we're going to still have Slime for the time being until we switch over, because Slime will go into their new season. I don't think they're taking a break. Technically, I think they're just going to roll right through. And we'll go through some other news things and other things like that. So go on as well, ride with us. I will say this: between the two shows, I think Slime's in a better place, but Kaiju's Kaiju getting all the hype of premiering on Saturday and all that kind of stuff has gotten people kind of surprised as well. But this will go up on Spotify after it processes. This will also go up on YouTube on Thursday. I do thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you for next time. See you.
Lucy.
Peace.